What's going on, guys? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, I'm going to be talking about Ballerina, the brand new film out of the John Wick universe. Was it good or did it utterly disappoint? That's what I want to talk about here today. But listen, I know I tend to start off my reviews with talking about whether or not films are good or if they disappoint, but honestly, I had pretty much no expectations for this movie. I'm going to be honest, this is the type of film where I watched maybe the first trailer months and months and months ago, one time when it dropped, and I have not watched another trailer since. So I kind of went into this obviously knowing Ana de Armas is in here, knowing John Wick was going to be in here, but I didn't really know too much about what exactly to expect when it comes to the story or where the plot was going to go. I knew it took place between John Wick 3 and 4, but that's about it. But was this film good? I'll just give it to you straight here. I think that for sure it is a good movie. Did I absolutely love it? No, that's okay. I think there's definitely some problems that I had with it, or some things that I just didn't necessarily care for rather than problems, but I've got to say, man, it's honestly pretty much still on the same level as the other John Wick films. Even if it is on the weaker side of them, it's a deserved sequel slash spin-off, whatever you want to say. Where do we even start? Let's just start off with the good stuff here, because I've got to talk about the star of the show here, Ana de Armas. Of course, she's kind of been getting a bit more into action. She had her horrible streaming movie Ghosted with Chris Evans, but then she's in No Time to Die, a James Bond film, even though it's just kind of like a shoot-in scene, like it's kind of an awkward scene that she's just randomly in, doesn't really add that much to the story, but either way, that kind of caught my eye, especially because I watched it recently for the first time, and I was like, whoa, Ana de Armas is pretty awesome in action. Seeing that she was going to be in this, I was pretty excited back when I watched that first trailer, again, that I barely really remember, which is good. Again, I want to make that clear, because sometimes trailers give too much away. And she's awesome in this movie. I just want to cut right to the chase here. She's just so good. And in a way, she reminds me of Keanu Reeves in the sense that, this is going to sound a little bit disrespectful, but I mean this in a good way. She's not like the best actor in the world, honestly. She's not like phenomenal at line delivery like some other actors. But honestly, she just has this charismatic energy to her that I think really carries whenever she has just a dialogue scene or this or that. Again, it's not exactly like she's perfectly acting. I think, it could be choppy at times with her, but she's so fun and it feels like she's having fun with the role. And in the actual action scenes, she's giving it her all. When she's yelling, when she's screaming, she's throwing punches, and you can tell it's her, not like a stunt double. It's awesome. She really sells it, and it feels like she's super committed to this role. And also, I feel like, I know that everyone always talks about her looks or whatever, but in all seriousness, I feel like she does have like the right look for this movie. I know that studios are always just like, who's the hot new actor that we just want to hire for this role, whatever, it'll sell tickets. But I truly believe like she was the right pick for this role. I don't know if you just got like another A or B lister in here, if it really would have worked as well. I feel like this was the role that was meant for her. She has like that nimble ballerina look, but also, when she throws an expression on her face, you're kind of like, whoa, you're kind of threatened by her, honestly. And she brings the heat in these action sequences. From there, you've got John Wick in here. Of course, I've got to bring up the elephant in the room. Obviously, I mean, it's so obvious. Lionsgate was like, okay, we've got to put John Wick in this movie, and I get it. And I understand that, it's one of these things where we're in this new era of every movie has to have like a cameo or have nostalgia. But I'm going to be honest, I actually, and this is very rare, just to be clear, that I give franchises like a pass here. I was going to say people, but when I give franchises a pass on this, I think John Wick being in this movie actually worked really well for the film. They incorporate him into the plot. It's not like he's just thrown in here to be like, hey guys, look, it's me, the familiar face, John Wick. By the way, this is the John Wick franchise. No, he's actually utilized in here in a small role, but an efficient one. And you also, it's not like, he's just in here to say hi, like I just mentioned. He's got some ass kicking to do, and man, does he. Because there's just some awesome action. We're going to talk about that in a second, but yeah, from there, talking about the story, I feel like, of course, that's the overarching thing in here. I think it's okay. It's passable. It's a fine story. It was interesting enough to keep me going throughout. But one thing I will say with this story, it got more and more interesting the longer it went on, which is literally, I cannot exaggerate this enough, the biggest compliment I could give a movie. I hate movies, like just, again, personal opinion here. I hate films that start off really good and then gradually fall off. But when you've got a movie that maybe has a bit of a rocky start and then gradually builds up to something great, I feel like I just love that. I love the feeling of building that momentum. It's just so awesome. This film doesn't really have like a rocky start. I actually really liked it, but I do feel like things kind of do get a bit, dragged in the middle. But regardless, the third act of this film oh my god, it's unbelievable. And speaking of things building up, even just in the third act itself, it really starts to ramp up, and it just gets better and better and better just within like this 30-minute saga, and you're just watching crazier and crazier and crazier things happen. And speaking of crazy things, I've got to bring up the action, because good god, even though I said the story is like passable, it's fine, the action in this is ridiculously good. And again, in that third act, it gets so crazy, and there's like this short little scene with like a cool little gimmick, I guess you could say, like using a little tool, we'll just say. I don't want to spoil anything. But then Ana de Armas' character, Eve, just keeps using this tool. It's a flamethrower, I'm going to be honest, sorry, spoilers, but it was in the trailer. She keeps using the flamethrower, and I thought it was going to be like a 30-second thing, but it's like a 15 or 10-minute segment that's just so unbelievably awesome. It really took my breath away. Another thing with the action, it's not just that, oh my god, all the punches and the choreography are so great. I love that the character of Eve, who Ana de Armas is playing, she's very crafty and she's very resourceful with everything around her. There's a scene where, you know, there's like a knife on the table, right? She's grabbing it. There's maybe like an ice skate, or there's like a fire hose. She's grabbing whatever she can around her because she's trying to survive. And I love that resourcefulness rather than just, okay, we're just punching and we're just shooting. No, it's very creative, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh my god, how's she going to take down these people? Especially when she's in a scenario where, honestly, she's backed into a corner. She's about to die. I'm going to be real here. And all of a sudden, she figures out a way to get out of it in such a creative and believable way. It's not even like unbelievable. It's awesome. And sure, maybe when there's some stuff that is a bit unbelievable, they make sure that it's awesome to kind of like undo it or whatever. It's just a really good film. I'm going to be honest. It's a really good film. But what did I not necessarily like about it? Let me get into that. Norman Reedus is in this movie for about 3 minutes. He's on the poster. I feel like that was a big selling point of this film. I didn't love his character. I didn't love what they did with him whatsoever, to be completely honest with you. It's kind of like they just wanted an actor in here. Norman Reedus, of course, is known for like Death Stranding, the video game, and The Walking Dead. Not a big movie guy, I guess you could say, at least from what I know. I don't know too much about his movie experience, but I didn't really love what they did with his character and his daughter, who's also in this movie. It was kind of like a stupid little like side quest. Well, like it was the part of the main story, but it felt like a side quest, even though I feel like it should have had some weight, but I just didn't really care for it. That's kind of like what I mentioned earlier in this video, where there wasn't too many flaws I think this movie had. I think there was just some things that I just didn't necessarily care for. There's also like a little not really too important, even though it should have been important, twist that happens about halfway through this movie, and I was kind of just like, alright, because it's kind of resolved, and I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but it's really nothing too special, because it's a twist on something that's mentioned like 30 seconds into the movie, and then you kind of forget about it. And then once you see the twist, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, right, that's a thing in this movie. I forgot. That relates to Eve or whatever. But it's nothing too serious. From there, again, I do think with the acting, it can be a little bit rough at times because, again, I'm not being disrespectful because I enjoy these people. But when you've got a trio of Norman Reedus, Ana de Armas, and Keanu Reeves, all three of them, and again, I'm not being disrespectful, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. All three of them are not necessarily known for being like the best actors in the world, which is okay. Like, that's fine. They're all kind of like these action stars, so sometimes you kind of notice the acting isn't the best in the world, but obviously Keanu Reeves as John Wick, he fits in the role like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, and then you've got someone like Norman Reedus who just works so well on The Walking Dead, and Ana de Armas, again, she fits in this role, but again, the acting, that's like a slight, thing here. I think my biggest problem with this movie, the John Wick films have always been like a bit corny, especially because the first one came out in 2014, right? 2014, the early 2010s. It's like that swag era, if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean? It's like that corny action, early 2010s kind of vibe. But I feel like they keep dragging it on. John Wick Chapter 4, I think, kind of distanced itself from that. But sometimes, like, a song will play, and it's like a corny EDM song, not even like a good one or one that really fits into the scene, or like an EDM rock song, or I can't even describe what the music's like, and I just don't really like it. I feel like it doesn't really fit the style. On that same note with the corniness, John Wick has always had like that corny style in a way, like especially with his line deliveries, because he doesn't even have that many lines in the films. But I do feel like the dialogue can be very generic at times, and speaking of generic, I do think that the villain, he's a bit creative, but it does fall into a bit of a generic category, and there's just some cliche things in here, more so with the plot than the action, because I think the action is the furthest thing from cliche. It's so creative and unique, and there's a lot of it in here too. It's not like there's super crazy long boring talking scenes, which would be okay for character development, of course, but they just get straight to the action and it works perfectly. But I've got to say, sometimes there are just your very generic run-of-the-mill things. The villain, he's fine, he's passable. One thing I also want to mention, the back half of this movie, I didn't know this from the trailers, and this is not a spoiler, kind of turns into like this isolated one location thriller action film, and it's so awesome. I just wanted to make that very clear. I really like the structure of this movie and the way that, you know, we're kind of bouncing around in the first half, but in the entire second half of the movie, we're in one location. We're basically in this town where everyone are killers. They're all killers, and that was so cool to me with the way they executed it. I don't want to give too much away, but it was just really awesome. What am I going to give this movie as a rating, though? That's the real question. What am I going to rate this film? I've been between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and this is going to sound a little bit silly. I had a bit of a stomachache while I was watching this movie. So honestly, I think I wasn't enjoying it as much as my brain was, just because I was like, oh, goddamn, my stomach hurts right now. But I'm going to be real. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've convinced myself that this is a 4-star movie. Really enjoyed this film. The more that I'm thinking about it now, the more my gears are turning. I want to rewatch this movie, which is a big tell on the fact that I liked it, because sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I'll walk out of a movie and I'm like, hey, that was a solid 3.5, but I have no desire to rewatch that again. This movie, I definitely want to rewatch. I think it's pretty interesting, and it's just an awesome action film, honestly. Is it the best action film ever? No, but it's a solid film that came out this year. Let me know what you guys thought about Ballerina, how it fits into this universe, and I've got to say, man, I've got a lot of energy right now, because now, again, the more that I'm thinking about it, I know it sounds a little bit silly, the more I'm starting to like it. I almost convinced myself over the course of this review that I liked this movie more than I actually did, and sometimes, I know I'm kind of ranting here, but I'm just saying, sometimes that's the beauty about actually talking about films with others, because, you know, you get to bounce ideas off of each other, and even me just talking to the camera, I'm actually getting to flesh out my ideas. But I hope you guys enjoyed this end of video rant here. I don't know, just felt like talking about movies a little bit longer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.